Hey, thanks, Chris. Hi, everyone. I'm Ollie Rankin. I am VP of Live Entertainment at Sansar. My background is 20 years in the visual effects industry, from Lord of the Rings to Alice Through the Looking Glass. But in the last sort of decade, I've been pretty heavily focused on XR. Writing and directing interactive VR films and working to um, working to bring live events into virtual reality. Started out in 2017 doing live hybrid events with DJs um, in the UK that would appear in VR headsets, and then when the pandemic hit, I helped to bring Glastonbury to VR on the Sansar platform, and also Australia's biggest music festival, Splendor in the Grass, last year. And just a couple of months ago, I joined Sansar as head of entertainment.
Excellent. Yeah, we're looking forward to great things from Sansar in 2023. Next up, we have Roman. Hi, Roman.
Hey, hey, how's it going? Yeah, my name is Roman. I am the creative director for Ristband, which is a platform built on the Unreal Engine, which can allow any concert and event happening in the real world to have a real-time digital twin. I also play in a band called Mirror Shot, which is a band that performs live XR concerts, and we've been touring internationally. And yeah, really happy to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. Thank you for coming. And where are you at in the world, Roman? You're in Europe now?
I'm I'm in Paris at the moment. Yeah,
Paris.
it's yeah, Paris in the
Excellent. Yeah.
miserable rain, I'm afraid.
Yeah, well, appreciate you being here on the time zone difference.
No
And
problem.
next up, we have Christina. Hi, Christina.
Hello. How are you doing, Chris?
Very good. Thank you for being here. For those that don't know, Christina and I just graduated from the Music in the Metaverse initiative with ASCAP, and it was a really fun experience. So we're delighted to have you here on our stage. And why don't you tell us a little bit about Poppins?
Awesome. So Popins is creating AR and VR entertainment holograms. We're based in Seattle, and we use volumetric video to create digital lifelike entertainment with artists. It's a very short summary,
Yeah.
anyway.
No,
We're
it's
having a
great.
lot
Yeah,
of
you've
fun.
been working with some great talent. I know you had the 25th anniversary or 30th anniversary of Baby Got Back, I believe.
Yeah, so which we haven't released yet, but we had Mix-a-Lot come into the studio, which was a lot of fun, and record "Baby Got Back" live, with original vocals to a backing track, and we'll be releasing that soon. We've also worked with an incredible number of artists in the Seattle area, and not just music. So, of course, VRAR also works for entertainers or storytellers of all kinds. So we have comedians and dancers and motivational speakers and poets, and it's a really, all right. Is everything
Great.
okay?
Well, since we're on the topic of holograms and holoportation, wanted to talk about how that is affecting each of your workflows. Obviously, Christina, it goes without saying you're using AR holograms, and I'm curious, Ollie, and also for Roman, Wristband, and Sansar, are you guys incorporating live hologram projections in the world?
Yeah, so for the most part, for Lost Horizon, we had sort of fake holograms, or sort of a 2.5D Pepper's Ghost style of thing, where we filmed the performers on green screen, and then had those green screens being separated live in the game engine, so that it would appear that the performer was on stage. And when you have an audience that is separated from the performer by the sort of the normal convention of the stage and an audience area. Those 2D holograms are actually perfectly good to, people don't get a lot of the parallax, and wouldn't notice the depth of the performer anyway. But obviously, when you start to break those conventions and allow the audience to get up close to the performer, then you require the sort of full three-dimensionality. So we're working with a couple of different volumetric capture studios to integrate their technology into Sansar. And we're also working with a number of different ways of having live performers appear as avatars that are mimicking their real life action in real time. So whether that be using motion capture, inertial or optical motion capture suits while they're performing, or also by doing using AI pose estimation to transmit the movements of the performer onto their avatar in the metaverse.
Excellent. And it looks like Celeste is back. How you doing, Celeste?
Yeah, exciting. Always fun working in immersive tech with all the little curveballs that are thrown at you. So can everyone hear me right now? I just want to check and make sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
I have
we
good
can hear
audio
you.
from
Yes.
you. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay, Chris, thank you for diving in.
Of
So
course, yeah. And Roman was just going to touch on holograms inside of Wristband. So that's where we're leaving
yeah,
off
go
here,
for
and I'll
it. I'd
step
love to
away.
hear
Thank
more.
you.
Yeah, let's dive right back in.
Yeah, so I guess the the idea of holograms is something that kind of goes back to like the 60s, and the idea of we would create these three-dimensional representations. And with Wristband, we kind of take the reverse approach, because what we're really interested in is how can an artist walk onto a stage in a physical environment in a real concert, and at the same time appear in our platform, because especially when we're working, we come from the music industry, and there's a kind of, I would call it a kind of a healthy cynicism about any new technology. Part of that is because of the fact that these things are in complete conflict with each other, right? Like going to see a band or a rapper or whoever live, is the whole point of it is that you're there and you can feel these things, and it's this multi-sensory experience. And by definition, going into a virtual platform kind of removes all that, right? So it's like that's the gray area in between of how can a physical concert be enhanced by, whether you want to call it the metaverse or XR or any of these things. And one of the ways that we found really bridges that gap is um, volumetric capture, which
Mm.
is a really powerful thing, and is in kind of in its early stages when you think of the resolution it's at and the sort of compression rates, whatever. So we're putting on an event at South by Southwest. It'll be the official music metaverse showcase at South by, and we have a stage that is quote unquote metaverse ready. And so what that involves is um, we use condensed reality, which is another company that's
Nice. Yeah, I heard about
won
them.
a mega
Mhm.
grant, and we've been working with. So the idea is artist walks on stage and they're not being told, okay, this is going to go into the metaverse, so you need to wear this suit, and there's going to be a green screen, and you're going to have to perform in front of a camera, and you have to wear this suit or whatever. And they can just do their thing, and that there's this energy, that sort of magic that I'm sure we're all familiar with, of going to see an artist, of that connection and that kind of strange spell falls over an audience when a performer that just hits the right moments and the right beats and notes. And so with us, I guess the way that holograms, or whatever you would want to call them, comes in is capturing the three-dimensional real-time performance of an artist, and that gets, even the terminology is difficult, broadcasted, streamed,
Yeah.
captured into something, and in real time appears on our platform, is something that we're
Yeah, it's so the
fascinated
future
by.
looks so exciting. We're also working with holoportation technology right now and producing concerts here in alt space. So it's been really
Amazing.
exciting to watch users' reaction and see, we're also saying it's adding a human element into the metaverse, which is so highly synthesized and digitized. So anything that
Completely.
does bring that human element in. I also want to direct the conversation over to Christina from Popins. So there's so many experts that are predicting that augmented reality is going to be kind of the entry way, or the way that majority of people are starting to use metaverse technologies for concerts and performances. And I'd love to learn a little bit more about Popins and AR and what exactly you guys are doing right now in avenue.
Awesome, great. And I'm so excited to follow up with both you guys on the panel too. Like, hopefully, there's some stuff we can do together.
Totally.
So we do AR and VR. So, and we are also doing kind of what we call on-demand performances and then live performances, which can be viewed both as AR and VR. AR, augmented reality, I think we really see as a profound technology that, as Tim Cook said from Apple, we're going to look back and wonder how we ever lived without it. Pokemon Go obviously is probably one of the biggest things people remember or have experienced in AR. Also, IKEA is doing a lot. So now when people are shopping, they'll see, hey, place this yellow chair in your room. But we really see that as time goes on, more and more people are going to be interested and engaged in seeing things in full 3D and photorealistic 3D as opposed to just a 2D flat screen image. And it really is so much more immersive. And we've already seen with AR ads, for example, a huge tick up in engagement with customers and increased retail sales and brand loyalty that is developed. So we're overall really excited about augmented reality and the opportunities it has for artists. And for us in particular, we're starting with music because that's also my background. So yeah, we really see it as the next phase, a little bit as color changed, black and white, or streaming replaced CDs. We see AR as the next evolution of video.
It's so exciting. And you guys also have augmented reality program. Is it on a phone? Is it phone based, or how would one use Popins right now as of?
Yeah, two ways. So for augmented reality, it would be on the mobile phone. So all of our pop-ins are free to the users, which means we can reach 6 billion smartphone owners today. Very simple to use. It's either a QR code or a link. I encourage everyone to go to poppins.io. We're live now, and you can give it a try. And then we also are in Quest 2 today, and soon in Magic Leap and Nreal with more headsets to come. But for sure, at the moment, for most people, they're going to be able to access this augmented reality through their phone.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Is anyone else here using AR technology, or is mostly VR on your platforms?
Yeah, we're currently focused on, well, VR is the sort of the most immersive form of the experience, and because we, create entire worlds, the best way to experience those entire worlds is by entering them in VR. But obviously, um, there's a there's a sort of an accessibility gap where a huge proportion of the potential audience don't have access to a VR headset. So we're also making sure that the experience for people who don't have the ability to enter it in VR is just as engaging, just as immersive and social.
Awesome. And Ollie, while we have you, actually, I know that you have been involved over the years in some pretty heavyweight Metaverse music festival production and creation. So, what have been some of the biggest virtual music festivals so far, in your opinion? What have you worked on?
Yeah, so the two biggest ones that I've worked on were Lost Horizon, which I sort of mentioned briefly in my introduction. It was when the when the Glastonbury Festival got cancelled for the first time by the pandemic in 2020. I was already working with a little startup called VR Jam, and we got partnered up with the team that run one of the fields in Glastonbury, and we teamed up and created Lost Horizon. We had headliners like Fatboy Slim and Carl Cox and Seth Troxler.
I think Ollie's volume is dropping out a little bit. Ollie, we might have to have you
is it?
re-enter the space. It dropped out a bit.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was on my side. Yeah.
Okay.
He
So
was good
we
for
might-
me. He was good for me,
okay.
Celeste.
Keep going, Ollie. Sorry, it was dropping out from my end. Fun in VR, you guys.
So yes, the Lost Horizon, we had these big headliners. We had sort of, I think, 10,000 people attended via either the VR desktop PC or smartphone app activations, and then we had something like 4.5 million people tuned in to streams
Great. Wow.
between Twitch and Facebook. And then, so that led naturally the next year when Australia's Splendor in the Grass got cancelled. I was called in to help them bring that to life in Sansar again, and we had headliners like The Killers and Charlie XCX and
Wow.
Khalid, um, and yes, as I say, we're sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I have not attended either of those, but I saw the footage and it looked very exciting. And I know that the graphics in Sansar have always been so impressive. And at the times that I've poked my head into Wristband, Roman, the graphics are also just incredible in there. And on the same topic of music festivals, do you guys have any plans for that? And I think I'm under the understanding that you have recently gotten involved with Epic Games on some level. So maybe you can touch on that a little bit and let us know what you guys are up to here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've been working on building a platform that isn't just about helping huge established acts like the Ariana Grandes and the Travis Scotts, and um, there's been some really incredible work that they've done, but massive, big budget stuff. And the kind of question mark is like, well, those have been really great because they've generated a lot of publicity and they've sort of generated awareness, but you have to kind of admit that the holy grail of this is the MySpace moment or the SoundCloud or the Mixcloud moment with the metaverse, right? Which is a moment where hundreds of thousands of people who have music to share, who are unknowns, have a new platform where they can express what they do and create an entirely new, almost a new genre, right? Because arguably MySpace and SoundCloud and Mixcloud, what that actually was a moment where artists didn't have a route to the label system or the right manager or the right booking agent suddenly could post their music or exist, let's say, on this brand new medium platform world, which was the internet. And what we're seeing is the same is happening with the metaverse. Like when we have meetings with labels, they are super excited by it, but they're also completely baffled by it. And they understand that there are 2.8 billion gamers in the world, and those were normally a demographic that was in a different industry. And what's happening now is that there's suddenly a new way that the music industry doesn't have to think about that demographic as something that's part of another industry. There's a moment of convergence that's happening. So we've been speaking to a couple of the majors about which artists we feel are a good fit. We've also, as I mentioned, South by Southwest is great for us because that's exactly in our remit of, it's about discovering artists. It's not about go and see Taylor Swift in a stadium. It's about walk down this strange alleyway, overhear some incredible music coming out of a pizza shop with 8 people standing there, and discover the next Taylor Swift or the next Ariana Grande or the next huge artist that you've never heard of. And that's what we've really been focusing our efforts on, is providing the tools, ecosystem, and infrastructure these artists to be able to exist in that space. And just to kind of finish on that point, exactly like the analogy of SoundCloud and Mixcloud and MySpace, the old version of what music is and the old approach to music had to actually catch up with internet culture, right? There was a period where there was a huge subculture of artists that understood how to use this new medium, how to use the internet. And the same happened with YouTube, the same happened with Twitch, all of them. And then the music industry was slow to react, and then eventually understood, oh, wow, that's where the audience is. And so clearly the same thing will happen with the metaverse, especially with the things you've been discussing, like the moment where all of us carry XR devices as though they are mobile phones.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
also
Charlie
let's
XCX
keep.
is a.
Oh, go
I was
ahead,
going to
Ollie.
say, just going to say, Charlie XCX is a great example because she was discovered on MySpace, and she just started posting her own music there originally, and now she's a household name.
Let's also talk about ticket sales and also revenue streams for artists and people in the music industry, because we can all agree that music has generally been devalued and people expect these free concerts now, unless it's a live concert. In that case, they're willing to pony up hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which is one of the main, the artists are coveting these stadium and concert sales. So, what is your thoughts about ticketing in the metaverse
Yeah,
for concerts and festivals?
That is
I
definitely
mean,
a challenge.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so we have definitely experienced that same sort of friction or the resistance that you mentioned to people to pay for tickets. And so we often find that having the event be sponsored or branded is a good way to cover the costs. But we're also looking more and more into what you can add to the experience so that it's more than just what you would get by watching a free stream on YouTube, but that it adds interactivity, it adds social layers, it adds gamification. There are merchandise or merch that you can um, activate or unlock by solving certain puzzles. So I think we still haven't arrived at a formula for what people are willing to pay for, but I think as the feature set expands and allows people to have so much richer of an experience, it's going to be easier and easier to convince people to pay for it.
Yeah, curious your thoughts around that. What about you, Roman? What about
I
wristband?
think I think that, like, so I as a musician, like, I've looked at being really, like, brutal and cold hard fact. Looked at a statement I get that says how much a song that I released had 1 million streams on Spotify, how much actual money I got out of it. When you think we had to pour that record, we had to record it, there was marketing, but there was all this stuff, and 4 artists, musicians in a band had to get paid out of this. And I mean, you don't have to be an economist to work out that that's just a broken system.
Yeah,
It doesn't work.
yeah,
And I think it's less about working out how we can extract money out of people that like our music, and it's more about zooming out and thinking this idea of IP that we get paid because of a song that is intellectual property. I think that's, if you go back to the beginning of recorded music and music licensing laws, that was some weird abstract law that was created for booksellers in the 17th century. It's such a strange, it was a necessary thing because
archaic.
obviously musicians were being recorded and they had to be able to make revenue from it, and suddenly this technology arrived of recording, and they said, well, no one's going to come and see us live. So this kind of law was crowbarred in, and it's not how music works. It's like 110-year-old system. It's a new
Good point.
bizarre mutation. And so, like, now we're entering into this wonderful world where what was a musician in the first place, or a songwriter? Someone who creates experiences, right? You go to a show, whether it's a classical show or a jazz show or hip hop or whatever. A really great show is when the artists come on stage and the music they've written, the lights they've chosen, everything, the things they say, it creates an experience which lends itself perfectly to the metaverse, because the metaverse is all about incredible experience. So my vote is that we enter into this world where we stop thinking about this ancient record label system of this song is worth this much and a stream is that, and this person's a bigger artist because they got this many. And actually we go into a place where if you could create a world virtually alongside your normal concert, and that world is compelling, exciting, and we've seen from the world of gaming, people are more than willing to pay for it. And actually, if you look at the Fortnite model, it's like 86% of Fortnite players play for nothing, and the rest of them
Yeah,
pay for all of it. And I think that that's a much, for me as a creator or as a musician, and I'm sure just as you as a DJ, like, that's a much more exciting model. Like, your music is effectively free and you share it with everyone, and then you have 10% who are super fans who fund the entire exercise. I think that's way better than trying to fleece someone or get a record deal or do all that stuff.
Interesting. Well, let's go over to Christina also. What is your current business model for Popins? Like how do you make money off of it? What is the user expectations?
So today we have two main things that we do just to create revenue for artists. One is several of them have chosen to sell NFTs. So in that case, that's a new revenue stream, and most of them have collectors who are holding on to those. So it's much more of a Patreon-like model. And with
Mm.
the most recent release, Sassy Black, you can buy her NFT, and then some of the utility will be a private kind of fan meet and greet and session in the metaverse live, where she will appear as a live hologram and meet with those people exclusively. The second thing is we built a proprietary overlay. So every time you experience one of our AR performances, there's a graphic on the bottom left that can be a brand, a tagline, and a logo. And because these are sort of naturally viral, for example, with Sir Mix-a-Lot, we think that that's something that we'll start to talk to some advertisers about. Um, 7-Up or anyone else could be the sponsor. And then not only every time that they release the QR code or put the QR code on a bottle of 7-Up or tweet out a link, but every time I dance with Sir Mix-a-Lot and post it on TikTok, that brand will go with AR experience. So
Mm.
those are the two things that we're doing today. But longer term, I think we're hoping that we will build futuristic platforms for 3D, and that will continue to evolve. And as long as we build a good customer experience and a good brand, that's something we hope to participate in too.
Okay, exciting. Good insight here. We only have a few more minutes, but I think another important question I would like to address everyone here are what do you think the biggest barriers are to mass adoption of the metaverse, and what are your companies doing to address them? Let's start with Ollie.
Yeah, well, I think I already sort of hinted before about the uptake of VR hardware being one barrier to what we sort of imagined a few years ago the metaverse was going to look like. But I think what we're starting to realize more and more is that the metaverse is not some VR only experience, but it's actually, it's a persistent virtual layer on reality that you might duck into through your smartphone, or you might get into through VR, or you might use your PC. One of the things that we're doing at Sansar and we're going to announce this at CES next month. We are putting a Sansar app onto all LG smart TVs so that people will be able to
Mm.
pilot an avatar. They'll be able to log into Sansar and pilot an avatar around within the virtual world. So if there's a live concert going on, and we have the movements of that performer and the music being transmitted into Sansar, you'll be able to switch back and forth between watching that live concert on your TV and being in the metaverse version of that on your TV, piloting your avatar around, interacting with other audience members, having those meet and greets with the performer afterwards. And also, our app has, very similar to what Christy was talking about, the sort of contextual additional information. So if you're watching the concert and you want to pull up the lyrics rather than having to pull your phone out to find the lyrics of the song, that will be offered to you through the TV app, along with the ability to buy the outfit that the performer is wearing or to follow them on social media. Um, so, by adding all of these sort of second screen experiences into the primary screen, I think we're going to make the experience that more compelling and give people, blow the doors of the metaverse wide open by making it completely
Mhm.
frictionless for people to get into. And then another thing that I want to touch
Awesome.
on is sort of to Roman's point earlier about user-generated content. Sansar is first and foremost a user-generated content platform. I think the statistics say that half of all user hours are in creator mode. And I think we have something like 500,000 worlds that have been built by our community. So I think,
Yeah, actually, by the way, let's give some props to Sansar because you guys have been long standing in the industry. How long has Sansar been around?
oh, that's a good question. Actually, I don't, I don't know exactly when Linden Lab sort of forked Second Life and
Yeah,
started Sansar, but yeah, it's been going for a
I
while.
believe Second
Linden
Life was
Lab,
2003 or 4.
yeah, I think it was 2003. So it's coming up on 20 years, and it still has millions of monthly active users. So,
Wow.
and there are still people paying their real world rent by selling goods in Second Life.
Second Life apparently has got one of the fourth most stable economies in the world.
Roman, on that same topic, do you have anything that you want to dive into right there also? Around biggest barriers to mass adoption of the metaverse and what your companies are doing to address the barriers for entry. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear
I
you.
can
Yes.
hear you.
Oh
Not
yeah, I
hearing
feel
you,
like
Lost
I'm
Roman.
Roman. There you are.
yeah, I think, yeah, I'm back. Yeah, sorry, I feel like I'm having some audio problems. But yeah, we carry on.
Oh, I was just going to have you chime in on that same topic for barriers and what your company and other companies can potentially do to help to bring more people in and experience the art and culture that you are creating.
I don't think you guys can hear me, can you?
No, I can
We
hear you.
can.
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, I was just saying about Second Life that it's interesting that it still has been a precursor to all this, and I think that Sansar has sort of inherited a lot of the kind of the principles and the philosophies of what that world was about, and a lot of the fact that it's a functional world, and it feels like there are a lot of kind of bandwagon jumping metaverse experiences that are kind of like make a world cool, and you go in there and it's like some sort of either it's empty or worse, it's just like a strange crypto scheme that's somehow connected to Snoop Dogg. And with Sansar, I feel like it's just a functional thing. Like people live and exist in it, you know.
And Christina, what about you and more in the AR space?
Yeah, I think that the biggest barrier to some degree is we haven't had that massive scale breakout moment. And I think if you look back to even digital music, there was a time where people wondered, why would we ever want an MP3? Like I have a CD. Um, and I think it really all changed when Apple released the iPod and iTunes came out. And you could buy a 99-cent song, and they did a big marketing campaign, and all of a sudden people really got it. And I have a
Yeah.
feeling that's the same thing that we need for AR, VR, the metaverse. And of course, I'm sure we're all three trying to do that along with everyone else in the ecosystem, is to find that spark that really captures the massive kind of attention and understanding that we need.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a
awesome.
really interesting
And on
article I
that,
read.
we
Talked
we
about
actually have
so
we're
Steam, like
actually
one of the most
at our
legendary
closing
companies that arguably
time.
defined what we think of as gaming. He had this really interesting point, the CEO, whose name escapes me, which was like people have been doing this idea of metaverse. It's like it's not a new thing, and it's been happening for 30 years that people are living in virtual worlds. Like people were in Ultima Online in like mid 90s. But the thing that seems to have slightly been forgotten is that reason everyone's so excited by the metaverse, because especially on a VC level, is because they say, well, here are the numbers of people that play Fortnite every day and Minecraft every day. So therefore, if we build just a 3D world, then 100 million kids will go to this every day. But the reason they go into Minecraft and Fortnite, etc., is because there's this gameplay loop. I guess if we're talking about this breakout moment, then it will come from, it won't come from a metaverse platform that is just that exists. It will come from one that is compelling, has gameplay loops, and that you want to go back into, and has a social component, and all these things that I guess are an alignment of, like the art of game design that goes back 30 years.
Yes, awesome. And on that, as a closer, we're
great.
actually out of time. So I just want to rein in the conversation here and thank our panelists for coming all the way into alt space, which you guys is full,
Because
can
we've got an
be full
audio
of technical
delay,
challenges.
so
So thank you everyone
carry
for
on without
toughing
me.
this out. And again, this is the Dreamland XR Speaker Series at the VRARA Immerse Global Summit. Some of us are actually here in Miami. A lot of us are on the Hop-In app and here in VR inside of Microsoft's Alt Space VR. So thanks again to everybody here who came out to enjoy the music in the Metaverse panel. I am Celeste Lear, and I'm always happy to shed light on these topics, educate, inspire.
Thank you.
So
It's great.
yeah, thanks you guys. Cheers. Rock on.
Thank you.
Hey, Chris, you should take a picture.
Yep, absolutely. Step it in.
Okay, how's my hair?
All right. Here I am. All right. One, two, three.